We're going to move into the final session before lunch, session 3, and here we're talking about universal design, planning, strategies and policies. And our first speaker is from Tourism for All, the Universal Design, Design for All approach, Paudie Healy, owner and CEO of Universal Access, all the way from Ireland.
This way. Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Absolutely delighted to be here with you over the next 15 minutes, and I'll try to keep it to 15 minutes because I hear lunch is on and the pots are rattling outside. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Dubai for the political decision, and that's where it all starts. It starts with a political decision at the top. My community, a city for everyone. So I want to congratulate you on that. Congratulations on holding this international summit and also for the fantastic Dubai Code that you have. I've looked at the Dubai Code. It's a fantastic standard. But hopefully after this, I'd like maybe for the end of the session that you'll start thinking and take that code a little bit further. So at the moment, in tourism, it's about an experience. That's it. And this is, at the end of this session, I want people to understand that we're just talking about people. It's not about people of determination, not about disability. It's about people getting an equal experience. And there's a process of how we can do that and include everyone from the start. At the moment, not everyone can get that experience. And it usually comes down to the design, and the design from everything we do. So at the moment, we do not have it. 15% of the world population, as you know, has a disability. 70% of disabilities are invisible. And this is the most important thing. It's the invisible disabilities that you will never see. You must be able to give the experience equally to that person as well. 79% of people will never disclose they have a disability. So if they don't disclose it, which is their right, you must be able then to give them the customer experience equally as everyone else. Family and friends of people with disabilities make up 45% of the world population. Now, that's what we're talking about in figures. So if anyone doesn't think there's a market here, it's huge, because the person with the disability will make the decision where they will travel to, whether that's to a destination or to a product or a service. Because if they can get the service, the family or their work colleagues will go as well. 20% of the population, the global population, will be over 65 by 2050, and that is the big growing demographic. Because one thing I can guarantee you here today, each and every one of you, if every one of you want to live old into the future, we're all guaranteed a disability. 100%. So every one of us is going to have a disability at some stage. So realistically, what I'm doing is I'm preparing the future for myself. And that's what every one of us should be doing. People are born with different needs, and then it changes through the cycle. But what I want you to think about, when we really think about, it's about ourselves. It's about our mobility, our dexterity, our reach, our balance, our strength, our sight, our touch, knowledge, understanding, memory. Now, that's a lot of things to take in, but I'm going to show you a process of how you take in all of that over the next 10 minutes. But we need to move away from the traditional design set, because more than often than not, we like to follow what's the normal box. We need to start thinking outside of it, because if we stay in the normal box, we're only meeting the standard need. And if we only meet the standard need, it's only used for an average person. So we need to go further outside of that way of thinking. So all of us in the room today, all of us in this pavilion, we can make the change and we can drive inclusion. So we need to make sure it's for all people of all experiences. Because when you break it down, you're not talking about a person from some other country. You're talking about your family. Your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your kids. This is who we're talking about. This is what we're designing our products for. So we need to give everyone equality. So to give a world-class service, we need to do it through a person-centered human approach. And that's key, person-centered. So the universal design approaches takes in all ages, all sizes, all abilities. It originated in the USA, and this is very important. It's a design approach reflecting a new way of thinking. It's not a particular list of solutions or measurements, and we have codes and international standards to do that, which come and tie in with it. But it's a process, user-person-centered approach. So remember, it's a process, and as I said, if we put that process into everything, everyone will get an equal experience. Design for all is another term, but that's a European term. They took it a little bit wider than the Americans, and they brought in technology as well. But universal design is changing, and it's changing now to inclusive design. Inclusive design brings in goals, and goals for body fit, comfort, awareness, understanding, social integration, personalization, and cultural appropriateness. Every one of us would like to be associated with that. And if we put that into our design, we will be able to do it. So it's very important when I talk about a process, what am I talking about? Now, this could be an environment, it could be a built facility, a hotel, a product, a service, IT technology, communication, information, marketing. It's everything we do. Every touch point that we do, you must build this in. But it's from the concept. So you need to make sure that you build it in at concept stage. And what I mean by building it in at concept stage, that you have the whole stakeholders of all those different users around. And if you have them stakeholders around at concept stage, they will give you the information in your design phase that you need to get the best product out in the end. It must be taken into account through all the design phase, so to make sure, as the design is going forward, that everything that was originally put into the concept is being followed through. Very important to put it into procurement, because this is where maybe sometimes it starts to dip. If you write it into your procurement documents, you're then transferring the ownership and the responsibility on the suppliers to make sure that they are able to prove that they can deliver the inclusive product or service to you. So they must have the knowledge. And if they don't, then you don't procure them, because you will not get the best product in the end. It goes into the development phase, and as we move forward through the development phase, it must go into evaluation. And evaluation is very important, that we have ticked all them boxes towards the end. And at the end, we have a delivery of an equal experience for every user and the sign-off. If we do that and carry through that process, you have made sure that you have had the full diversity of people's needs involved from the outside. You have checked it all along through the process, and then you're delivering it to the end user so it can be used equally, easily, safely, with dignity, and an experience enjoyed by everybody. And that is very key. So, as I said from the outset, I'm a big believer in inclusion. I'm a massive believer in people. People must be placed at the heart of every decision. If you do that, you will include diversity and difference. You will offer choice. You will definitely avoid separation and segregation. You will go beyond minimum standards, because we have standards, international standards, national standards, but we need to go beyond them. They're the bare minimum, and people are not standards. People are humans. We need to provide an environment where all people can get and enjoy that tourism experience equally. But then, what do we get back? It delivers economic growth. That's guaranteed. Remember, if we're talking about 1 billion people, 45% of the population with family members. In America, 1 trillion of a spending budget people with disabilities control. It will provide a sustainable business and a destination. And I'm not talking about just environmental sustainability. I'm talking about every part of the sustainable goals. It will include full social participation. And the most important thing then, then you can say proudly, no matter whether you're the small SME, you're the destination, you're the government, then you can say proudly, we deliver a world-class quality experience for all people. And that's very, very important. I'm just going to show you this very quickly. This is a very famous bridge. Some of you might know it, but why I wanted to show it to you was, you might think, what is it to do with where we are today in bridges? It's very important because it's tourism related. So there was governments involved, there was designers involved, there was procurement involved, there was engineers involved, there was end users involved in this. And yet, when we're trying to link one part of a city over water, we come up with steps, glass, smaller steps, and eventually we make it impossible. So we design the best, supposedly, in bridges, and I'm not talking about just this bridge and so on, this is just an example, but we design something and at the end, nobody can use it. It has been reported that it has now, this is not me, this has come publicly reported, there has been 5,000 claims already in litigation from accidents on this bridge. But more importantly, they had to build the bubble here on the side to make sure people with prams and buggies, people with mobility issues, persons using wheelchairs, people carrying luggage, that could get over. And it now takes 17 minutes to cross that bridge inside in that bubble. To me, it's after totally splitting what society is about. It's a two-tiered approach. And yet, if you go to this bridge in London, everyone can use it. And that's what I'm talking about, thinking at the outset. If you build it in, and I'm not saying on that bridge because a lot of stuff is built like that, and it's just not on the first one that I'm harping in, but I want you to show you the difference, that everything you do, from the smallest little thing, if you're designing a bottle, how it opens, right up into you're designing your destination, you have to make sure that it's included from the outset. And the universal design approach, it takes care of everyone. It takes care of everyone equally. We should be able to use it safely and all together and enjoy the experience together. Just moving on, I just wanted to show you a quick few pictures on inclusive design then when you're thinking smartly. So all of a sudden, you have your accessible toilet that you have, and good thinking, all you're doing is, when the person that needs the grab bars, they're there, and then all of a sudden, another person doesn't need them, you just put them back into the wall. But aesthetically, that bathroom can be designed so everyone can use it, and there is no difference in the world, only for people's use. Same thing here on the bathroom. There is grab rails, and housekeeping can build that bathroom accordingly. Because when you have accessible rooms and you have a percentage of accessible rooms, some people in some countries, they wait for the user to come up and to knock on the door and say, oh, I need to use your accessible room. Why don't we start designing and make sure that the rooms are inclusive and accessible for everyone from the very start? And if we do that, then you're able to sell that room 365 days a year to every person of every different need. And that's the most important thing when we talk about inclusive design. So it goes further, as I said, than standards. Customer service is huge. If you do training, and I'm talking now in training of good face-to-face training, you will take away a lot of barriers in the first place. So that's critical. Number one is customer training. Manager and operational staff, because it starts at the top. If it doesn't start at the CEO or the director level, you need to get change in the organization. When I'm talking about changes, it needs to be culture change. It needs to be taken right from the top and driven right through, and bottom-up approach. Then we make all our environments and our venues and products and services, information and communication. And people forget about information and communication. And I'll go through that very quickly in the end as well. And employment. And employment is absolutely huge for everyone, because there's no bigger dignity than any person being able to decide themselves if they want to work, when they want to work, and where they want to work. And that makes the same thing for a person with a disability, that they have that opportunity as well. And I'm not saying that it's given out of sympathy, it's given out of equality. that they can do the job if the infrastructure is put inside. But then what you do, you learn from that diversity. And if you have people with a diverse culture within your organization, they're the people that are going to help you with the designs. They're the people that are going to give you the feedback, and they're giving it to you for nothing because they're part of your family in the business. So connecting and collaboration between all stakeholders is key. Now, it's very hard to see this, but if anyone wants it after, this is something I've developed myself. So it's a pyramid. And basically, the pyramid starts at the bottom from the strength. So that's where the government starts. So it's about policy level, legislation. Then we're coming up into the state agencies and all the different levels that they have to do, the touch points. So these are all the high-level touch points when you're building a destination. You have to work them out from there. You're going on to your local authorities, then you're going on to the private sector, and finally, you're ending up at the top with tourism for all. But down, going horizontal, and going up from the bottom and down from the top, you must use a universal design, inclusive design approach through every touch point. But not alone that, you must also embed leadership, policies, board meetings, all down as well. So there is a lot of thinking. It just doesn't happen with a code or a standard. You must think of it all the way through every touch point. That's the true meaning of a fantastic destination for all. So this national program is another one that we're just after developing ourselves in Ireland, and the state agency is after coming in as a partner with me on that. So it's putting how do you build a destination. So training, charters and commitments, benchmarking analysis, because it's very important that you get an audit and a benchmark analysis to see where you're starting from. Then you create an action plan so that business can follow. And finally, you create a marketing guide. Because it's very important, if you don't put the data out to the people or out to the world, how are they going to know you're able to give the service in the first place? And a lot of people do fantastic work and do great stuff within their businesses, but yet they don't tell the people. And that goes beyond me. If you have it, tell them. Roll it out. Make sure that everyone knows it. We're involved, and I'm a non-executive director with the European Network for Accessible Tourism, a fantastic global organization now, I would say, and we were involved in piloting the World program. So that's going to international standards, but it's another program that's there as well. So I'm nearly finished. So when I say about marketing, I've gone through the build stage, the process and the build stage and everything that's involved. Information is key, and that is key. You have the Expo 2020 coming up in Dubai. 25 million people is their target, which is fantastic, and I think we will surpass it. But when you look at it, up to 20%, maybe 25% will have some access barriers. They're going to be coming from all over the world. But before they come, you need to create the information. It needs to be audited, because this is what people look for. They look for information that's easy to find, it's accessible. That's very important, that it's accessible through your websites, through your documents, through your videos, through your apps. It has to be accessible all the way through. It has to be reliable, critical. If somebody is making a decision to come to your venue or your destination, it has to be reliable and audited, accurate and up to date. And if you do that, why I'm saying that is because these are the reasons why. 95% of people with impairments try to access information to a place before they visit it for the first time. 86% found the information on the websites to be misleading. Now that's huge, and that's what I'm saying about having it audited and verified. 86% say they're more likely to visit a destination or somewhere new if they can find information. 47% of people will avoid going to you at all. So when you start thinking about figures, 1 billion, 47 won't go if they can't see the information. This is where I'm saying is the business economic opportunity. 86% will make a return visit, and 83% will tell others. That's a huge, huge amount of people. So that's the 6 tips I'm going to give you as we finish up, because I'm looking at my clock here, and I'm good. Usually I'm not. So the 6 tips that I will leave you with today. Boardroom decision to make inclusion part of every policy and development that you do within your organization. 2, that universal design, inclusive design approach. Make sure that's embedded along the way at every touch point. Training, disability awareness training, accessibility training, inclusion training, absolutely critical, because that on its own can bring down barriers. And I'm not just saying online training on its own. It must be face-to-face, because they must understand the culture. You must make it unique to that place that you're giving the training to. Fourth tip, make sure that all your websites, videos, and apps are accessible to WCAG. And that has changed now. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines have changed from 2.0 to 2.1. So it's again, and that's very important, especially if you're an international destination, looking for people to come from all different backgrounds and they're trying to book tickets. What about the person that needs to book the ticket that can't use the mouse? They must be able to use all the keypads, or they're using the voiceover or the assistive technology we heard in the last one. So that's why if you do that from the start and build it in there, you get a way faster, better designed and more responsive website as well. Give clear, accurate, up-to-date information. So, and in multiple accessible formats. As I said, audited is the way to go. That's very, very important. And finally, ongoing collaboration between all stakeholders, public and private. And that is key. Because if you are the public sector and you're making decisions that affect your citizens and your visitors, wouldn't it be way better off to be working with the private sector as well, so that when you collaborate, you're learning together and you're able to push out then the best development of any destination. So, after giving them 6 tips, I would stand over and I would be very confident in saying, because I know it from businesses and destinations that we have gone into and that we have delivered results for. You will retain and increase your market share. That's a guarantee. You have to, and especially with the aging demographics, you have to. You will increase your bottom line revenue. You will attract business in the shoulder seasons, because especially the aging population, some people don't like to travel in peak season, they like to travel in the off season. You will make the business sustainable. You will help reduce potential litigation. That's a guaranteed. You will position the business to be a world-class, inclusive, person-centered service. You'll attract a wider, diverse pool of employees and increase your brand value. What will it do for your destination? It will increase new inward revenue, increase the shoulder season, support diversity in employment, assist in future-proofing your asset, and that's critical. If you design from the outside and it's inclusive, you won't have to be retrofitting after. You won't have to be spending more money. It'll be done at the outset, so now you're future-proofing your asset, and that is the way forward. You'll create a unique selling proposition, you'll deliver lifelong social benefits of social participation, and then you can say that you're a leading inclusive destination for all. So, for the visitors then, it's a win. For the businesses, it's a win. And for the destinations, it's a win. So, on that note, I would like to thank you very much for inviting me here today. I will be delighted to help anyone in any way I can, be it from a person or a business or a destination. But my one takeaway, and this is the one thing I want you to go away, it's all about people. It's about all of us being included in this world and leave nobody behind. Thank you very much.